right, guys. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Sometimes I have to remind the student athletes that they are students first to log on to study hall on Zoom in a timely manner. So I just was a friendly reminder from their head coach that they're the students first. So apologize for being a few minutes late because of that, but I hope you guys are doing well. It was good to get back out on the practice field. Yes, we are still limited with our roster. And I make mention of that to our guys, but we got to get out there and get some work. I thought it was pretty productive. Still a lot of the emphasis and focus on ourselves just with the basic fundamentals. I did talk to the team afterwards. Hey, it's going to be a long time between games, but we got to focus on ourselves. We got to look like this as like an extended training camp, even though it's modified. And then for that fact, almost like a spring practice, right? And then making up for that time. And we're still working on some things. We got some guys getting reps that we don't always expect to get them. But I think it's good for the overall growth, and we'll be trending in the right direction here soon.
Terry?
How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you, Terry?
Hey, I know you bragged on the conference and how Tulsa did last week, but I never got your thoughts on how it feels and what it means for your team to be ranked in the top 20 in both polls this early in the season.
I think it's great to have that recognition, right? I'm not going to be one of those head coaches that says I don't care or don't look at that stuff. I think it is great. Ultimately, just coach talk, right? Want to see what that ranking looks like at the end of the year. But it is nice to be nationally recognized. I think that speaks highly for the people that came before us, right? The players that put the effort into this program, the coaches that did to get this program, the Memphis football program, on a national level. And I think people all over the country are starting to recognize that. Obviously, we got to go up and show out every week and hopefully remain high in those polls.
Evan Barnes?
Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Evan. How are you?
Good. So just from what you said, digging deep into your depth to kind of have guys play different roles, do you see it more as, like you said, moving guys around to different places, or are you just having more guys have to like step up and play those roles who are maybe lower on the depth chart?
Yeah, it's a combination of both, Evan. I think kind of like we talked about yesterday is right. We got some guys that, maybe playing right guard and they got to go kick over to a left tackle or something of that matter, right? And then we also have guys that told you a lot of those DBs and wide receivers are raising their hands that they want to be two-way players. So I think it's a combination, right? We also have some young guys stepping up. And I think also if you just look at the way the NCAA rules have worked, I know, Brian Moss had asked this question last week, right? With there not being really a cap on this year, right? If I'm a true freshman, well, guess what? Next year I can technically come back as a true freshman. And I kind of put a smile on my face when I said it'd be nice to have some of these seniors back for another senior year. So, we're able to throw young guys in there instead of try, hey, do we need to be careful because of the 4-game rule, which is obviously even a new benefit the last few years. So I think we're just trying to get as many people ready as we can because we know that, knock on wood, but we have to be ready at all positions because any given moment, right, any given test, it could change the dynamics of what a position group looks like.
And just to follow,
Go ahead, Evan.
Sorry, just to follow up on that, with you guys always, playing, some of the young freshmen, whether it was, 2017 or even, Kenny getting his bringing his retro or playing as a true freshman 2 years ago, you guys have had a history of doing that. So is it kind of, normal for you coaches at this point to kind of be like, hey, if we have to play a freshman, they understand from what they've seen here that, hey, I could have that chance just because of what has happened in the past year? Yeah,
we brag on it, right? Some programs talk about wanting to redshirt a bunch of guys. Obviously, this year's a different year. But I think you look at the past history within the last 5 years that I've been here, and we've had a lot of freshmen who've gone in and played. And where it all starts for us, Evan, is the special teams, right? I tell them, hey, the quickest way you can make an impact is being able to play on special teams. And I think that's where you get a chance to see some of these guys' different skill set. And once they show that they can do it there, then, then it gives them the chance to elevate themselves in their position room. But it normally honestly starts on the special teams depth, and you get to see, okay, hey, can this guy be a plug-and-play guy here? And then as they start to learn that, it's advantageous for us. But as a coaching staff, I always tell them, hey, let's play the best players. And we're only going to get better as a team. So say we had a true freshman this year that happens to come in and beat out a junior, right? Well, that means we actually got better as a team. And now you have a guy hopefully for longer. So you guys know I love competition. I always go back to the Dustin Woodard story, right? A guy that was a low recruited offensive lineman that came here and beat out a fifth-year senior, and then the fifth-year senior had to move positions and then went beat out another player, and the competition opened itself all around. So I think that stuff's important. It only makes you better as a program.
All right, Devin Walker.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, man?
Good, Devin. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I want to ask you about the kind of the mental aspect of your team. When your team deals with 2 weeks of canceled games, how do you keep your guys mentally on the up and up when they look at what's going on in the world? They just want to play football.
Yeah, I answered the question similar yesterday, Devin. I think it's, we do talk to them about being focused, and I think just being very open about it, right? And telling them, hey, this is an unfortunate situation. And just like I told you guys yesterday at the press conference, I think, Devin, for me to explain to them, hey, we were fortunate because we had very, very low COVID numbers this summer. And, we were safe and healthy and well. And it's hit us in an opportune time. Obviously, there's never a fortunate time to have COVID, and the safety will always be it. But it just happened to hit us after, going into our first game, and it's just one of those things that's kind of, we got a couple little bumps in the road with it, and I'm very straightforward about it with our guys, and they understand that, and they know that we need all of our guys back and healthy. And so I talk about it. We talk about the advantages and disadvantages of playing. I just leaving the practice field, I say, hey, look, we can sit here and say, man, a whole month off in between games, we're not going to be ready. We're not going to be prepared for the speed of the game. Or I can say, man, hey, this is a chance for a lot of you guys that have been out here on a day in, day out basis. Obviously, we had to take a pause with our workouts, but, to get better, to improve on my craft, and to get my skill set back where it needs to be, because we did have a limited training camp. So I told them to take advantage of this, and I think most of our guys have the right mindset, even those guys that can't be there out on the field with us because they're not healthy enough, or they're in quarantine, or because of contact tracing, whatever the fact may be. Hey, take advantage of every Zoom meeting, right? Make sure you're taking notes. I don't want you laying in your dorm room bed all day and feeling sorry for yourself. Sit up, take notes, even if you're, it's an adverse situation. And I talk to them all the time. Adversity will only make us stronger. And I think we just got to throw different things at them, Devin, to, make sure they're in the right mindset. And I talk to our coaches and make sure you're having those conversations with them. It's not easy, but, like I said, I give our kids a lot of credit because they have the right mindset.
Terry.
Hey, Coach, I know you had some bumps and bruises in the Arkansas State game. How healthy is your team, relatively speaking, this today?
Right, so we know still to mention that Cameron Fleming will be lost for the foreseeable future. I know that was one of those that you guys had asked about, what was his timeline of return. Cam Fleming's dealing with a significant injury and will be lost for the foreseeable future. And then, the rest of the guys I think are starting to come back. We do still have some guys that are dealing with certain things. So we'll see where we go from there and progress. But it's, this has, someone mentioned the silver lining to all this, hopefully get our bodies back. Obviously, there's a difference. I don't want to be too fresh. We need to get back out there and have contact. We've seen it, and when I talk about the general landscape of college football, guys, I mean it, right? We see missed tackles. We see poor blocking assignments because of the time on task. We haven't been able to get out there. But we just got to make sure we're closing that gap as we approach the SMU game.
All right, Evan Barnes.
Ryan, kind of going back to what you said about, guys wanting to play multiple positions. Have you seen, is it easier, you think for, you've had to move some guys on the O-line to different positions, like obviously Dylan moved from guard to tackle, and some of the receivers and DBs, they played both ways in high school. Do you identify guys and say, hey, this is a guy we think can do it? Or is it more, like you said, are the players stepping up and asking for that too?
I think it's one of those things, and the recruiting, obviously a lot of our coaches hadn't been here since the beginning. But a lot of these guys, I've watched film of them, right? You remember I watched Dylan Parham's film as a tight end, and I always remember his blocking skill set when they moved him to D-line. And there was that hesitation, well, gosh, is Dylan Parham good enough to play D-line? I immediately jumped up and I said, I'll take him. And obviously, we know he's turned into a success story at offensive line. And so I'm kind of monitoring our roster. And I mentioned, the last few times we've talked, guys, is like a lot of roster management. I'm looking at Evan all the time like, okay, right, could this guy, in the case of emergency, right? I mean, hey, this guy may not make sense to put over here, but this guy might. And whether it's a safety moving to corner, a corner moving to safety, or a wide receiver moving to the defensive back. It's just kind of looking at all those different pieces. The nice thing is it's probably more so the coaching staff, but our players are willing and able to go wherever is needed.